basically fix it all, but I've got it so far off the pan.
You're talking to the camera?
Yeah, I got to explain to them what I'm doing.
Okay.
So the people at home can know what we're doing here.
Okay.
Alright. This 1974 VW Super Beetle has had a pile of work done to it by now.
Well, we noticed the heater channel was pretty rough, so taking it off, you can see the floor pan's pretty rough.
If you're just seeing this video, be sure to check out the rest of the series on this car. We got it home, tore it apart, replaced the pans, heater channels, firewall, a lot of body patches and repairs along the way, and basically a full overhaul in the matter of a few months.
I start cutting out the other side.
These builds usually take years because it's super time consuming and there's a lot of little parts. I have a full-time job just like everybody else, so I'm trying to do this in my spare time. But I need this car done by June 9th for a car show. My dad's bet me that I can't get it done and drive it to Niagara Falls. So the fire has been lit. I'm gonna make it happen. In the last video we did a bunch of metal work on the body, and we finally got to test fit the body on the pan as one unit and see how close the holes lined up after all the welding we did. We found a few bolts that were out, so now I have to get that body sitting correctly and all the bolts in the body tightened down. I need to kind of get my butt in gear. If I don't hurry up, I won't make my deadline. It is the next day, and we got quite a bit done yesterday, so that's awesome. We did a lot of the body panels, a lot of the patching, got them all fitted and welded in there. They still need a lot of cleanup and straightening and, you know, filling little holes and pinholes, but that's not the end of the world. Nothing really a grinder can't fix, right? Today, I need to kind of get my butt in gear because I only have, as people are pointing out to me, 53 days until a show that I was trying to go to. So if I even want to have an attempt here, I need to get in gear and get this rolling. So today I'm going to finish mounting the body to the pan. We've gotten, I believe, 10 bolts in there so far, which is pretty good. Surprisingly, majority of them are lining up. A lot of the pan to the heater channels do line up because we did that. The rear bolts line up, and I'm having trouble with the 4 front bolts, but that's because there's a back lip on the firewall, and that back lip is touching the top hat. So when I put the firewall down, it touches the top hat, and it doesn't allow anything beyond it to sit down further. So it's like a cantilever, right? This is the pivot point. It doesn't allow the front to sit down any further. So I have to loosen up the 10 bolts that I have connected because I don't want to disconnect them. I'm just going to loosen them up and try to lift that front end just a touch so that I can lift that lip off the top hat, because right now it's sitting on the top hat. And then I'll have to get the die grinder in there and cut about a 1/2 inch off that lip, which is fine. Right now it's hitting the top hat and we don't want that. So I've got to cut a little bit off that. Then the front end can drop down and I can try and align my bolts and see what's going on, because I've got 4 bolts out up front, and I want to get them straightened out before I can get this pan settled and stripped to go to paint. And it's got to go to paint like yesterday, because I keep telling the body shop, the guys who are helping me, I keep telling them like, oh yeah, tomorrow. And one thing after another here, we're just running into a lot of issues that are time consuming. So when you're trying to do a project like this in such a short amount of time, especially if you have a day job, like I can only do this evenings, weekends, and even at that, like I have a family, it becomes a little difficult, but you've just got to buckle down and get it done. Especially me, like I love to do this, so I'm just pushing because I want it done so I can drive it this year. It's just getting nice out. So today I'm gonna start by loosening off the pan bolts. Everything I've got connected so far I'll just loosen up, and then I'll lift that front end just a touch, see if I can give that firewall just a little bit of a cut, and then hopefully the front end will drop right down to where it needs to go so that I can start picking on the bolts that don't line up. I've got a couple already that I'm gonna have to oblong, which aren't a huge deal, but yeah, all these little things have to be done before the paint, or before, all these little things have to be done before the pan can go to paint, because I don't want to be cutting into something that's already painted. The idea is once it's painted, we bring it back and we start reassembly. We're not going to continue cutting it, right? So, yeah, let's get to it. With test fitting the body so many times as we installed the pans and the heater channels, we are close with the alignment. We have 5 out of 7 bolts into the heater channel to the floor pan, which is pretty good, but we still have some tweaking to do even after all that test fitting. Yeah, I'm gonna leave all the bolts in it and just, it's pretty hard to align this thing, you know, so if you don't do it properly, it becomes troublesome. You have to lift it up, move it around, lift it up, move it around, lift it up, move it around, lift it up, move it around. So right now I'm gonna leave all the bolts connected that we were able to get in by hand. All I'm doing is loosening them so I have some movement to lift the body up a touch and get the firewall lip away from the top hat, just so I can cut it. They shouldn't be touching in the first place. All right, they're all out, so, well, passenger side is all loose. Driver's side I took a couple out because the pan's not welded up solid yet, so it's sagging a little bit. So if I leave that on there, it's just got pressure. With a little bit of pressure lifting upwards, I can get the firewall off the top hat so I can cut it. No bolts up front. All I'm trying to do is lift this up like 1/4 of an inch.
Okay, so you can see on the bottom of that firewall, there's a lip, and it's not welded correctly. The front lip is overlapping and drops down, you know, 1/2 inch past the back lip. So what happens when you put this down is this side of the firewall, driver's side, touches the top hat. You can see it's just about 1/4 of an inch, if that, off the top hat right now. But what I want to do is cut that bottom lip off directly at that line. There's a line, pretty much directly at that line, so that it'll allow that firewall to drop down closer to the top hat, which in turn where's my flashlight? Which in turn will let the front drop down further where it needs to be up here. Hopefully it's going to be enough. This is, you know, kind of a simple solution for a problem that's, you know, necessary. And then obviously we've got some issues up here with the body still, but you know, everything structural, everything needed for the pan has been fixed, welded in. It needs to be ground and cleaned up, but it's there, it's fixed, all the rods cut out. The front, on the other hand, is a different story. We've already done the engine bay. The front can kind of wait for a minute because the pan has to be sent off to paint. So this will be done while the pan's being done, basically same time. So I got to figure out what's going on there. Haven't looked at that yet, but don't look at it. Anyways, so I've got it off the top hat right now. I'm just going to take the grinder in here, cut that lower lip off, see if I can get it the rest of the way down. I only got a little bit of ways to go, but you can see the front's not sitting correctly because of that firewall. So cut that off.
With the body up a little bit and the weight off the firewall finally, I can get to cutting that lip off. I love you. You wanna be a boss, do it like I do. Yeah. Get that money, I'm a flex. It's not touching up in the center. It's only touching here. It's not touching on the other side. So I took the chunk out of the firewall, but the body's all hung up and it still won't drop down. Maybe it wasn't the firewall that was hanging it up. I mean, it looked like it was to me. So I'll try and see if it drops down. Is this a heater channel? Well, it moved. So it's gotta go. What's going on here? So it is showing that the whole car needs to be twisted just a hair. The rear's bolted up, but it's at the far back, so if I was to pull the front or the back forward a touch, it would pitch the front left, which is what I need. Just don't know if I can do that with all the bolts connected.
Every time I play dice, I shake them up, and it's snake eyes. I'm the same guy.
But now with the firewall cut, I'm actually having a hard time aligning the car properly because maybe we didn't do it last night. I thought we were pretty close because we had 10 bolts in. But when it comes to the front end here, we're a ½ inch off to the driver's side. I'm gonna have to take all the heater channel bolts back out, lift the front up just a little bit, lift the back up just a little bit. I'm gonna leave the rear bolts in because they've got a bunch of play. So I'll lift them up so at least it's like guide pins, and I'll try to reposition the front with the back bolts in. Yeah, nothing's easy here. Nothing's easy. All right, keep going. All right, so I'm about to peel the body off the pan for like the bazillionth, a lot of times. But I figured I'd just take a break here. I've been meeting nothing but nice people when it comes to this Beetle, and it's been fantastic. The community around this car and these cars, you guys are awesome. Basically, I ran into Josh from Peterborough Volkswagen, and he actually runs Peterborough Volkswagen Club, and he gave me a couple stickers, so I figured I would just throw one on the toolbox to say thank you. And yeah, I guess it'll always be in the videos, right? So thanks, Josh. Time to lift this thing. All the bolts are out, but I left the rears in and I took the washer off them, so it's still going to allow me to lift it and everything. It's just going to like leave it as a guide pin. If anyone knows about these cars, that rear hole is fairly big, so shouldn't have too many issues without the washer. Well, the bolts aren't long enough in the rear to use as guide pins. You need like perfect threaded rod. That'd be ideal right now. Okay. It's close. So, the rear has spacers. There's a bit of a gap. So this is the rear bolt. Right, got a bit of a gap there. Not brutal, because it does have a spacer that goes in between there, and then a washer, so I can tighten that up plenty. Heater channel looks good so far. Much better up here. It's sitting on itself on this side, passenger side. Top hat looks okay. This is no longer touching. You see that? Woo! A little bit. That's no longer touching. This is way closer, but for some reason, it's still up off the top hat. The other side is touching. You can see it over there. This side, still up off the top hat. So not quite sure what's going on there yet. Firewall touching the top hat, nice. Heater channel looks okay. I have not checked the bolt holes yet. These are off a little bit in here. There's no hole on that side because we welded those two outer pieces in. So what I'm going to do is just fill those in and re-drill those. No big deal. That's simple. This bolt looks okay. You can see there's a pretty consistent gap with the other side. Everything looks fine here. Good gap on the heater channel to the floor pan. Remember, there's a seal that goes in between there. So I mean, like, everything looks fairly good. We're in a pretty good position. Everything looks fairly good, but this one corner at the front, driver's side, won't drop down. So I'm gonna have to keep investigating to see what's going on, but I'm gonna check the rest of my bolt holes now. Bolt holes. And see how they're all lining up now, because the top hat was off before. And the heater channel is kind of lined up, so I don't know how they're going to be now, right? So I'll try it every now.
welded out. Shit.
The heater channel on the passenger side, I only got one to line up by hand. Not a big deal, because the floor pan, all I have to do is oblong the hole just a little bit, but not cool. It's telling me that it needs to go forward, which I might be able to do. I'm just looking at the mount. I believe it's telling me that it needs to go forward a touch, but I'm not seeing it. I'm trying to see if there's anything I can see in there that's touching. I believe it should come down right on that mount. I could be out to lunch, but... So I gotta oblong a lot of these holes in the floor pan, according to this, or we reposition the car again. The front, maybe I'll see where the front bolt lines up. If the front bolt tells me it needs to go forward, I can actually lose a little bit to come forward. So I might be able to reposition this before oblonging holes, which would be key. Yeah, as I've stated a bunch, it's pretty tricky to align these things. I'll probably go back up and a little bit forward. I better check the other side first. Even with test fitting this body so many times as we installed the heater channels in the floor pans, we still have a bunch of bolts out of alignment. It's looking like some things may have moved when we welded the heater channels and the firewall in place.
Oh, top hat's not lining up. Top hat's not lining up. Oh boy.
I don't know. I've got it pretty much lined up, but not. The front 4 bolts, there's 2 in the frunk. They line up perfect. There's 2 underneath the frunk on the pan. They line up perfect. The top hat is a little bit off, but that could be us with the firewall. Driver's side heater channel, pretty much bang on. Got like 1 off. The rear, bang on. Both sides at the shock tower or at the shock. But the passenger side heater channel, the first one we put in, the passenger side heater channel, I've only got 1 to line up so far. Looks like a bunch are out on that side. But I mean, if 70% of the bolts line up, do I just oblong the pan on the heater on the heater channel, but the pan I can oblong the bolts to make the passenger side fit? Do I just do that because everything else is working, but the top hat's still out? So the top hat I can also fix. It's more of a pain, but the top hat's out a little bit side to side, and as we explained before, the top hat has movement, but back and forth, not side to side. So it's out a little bit side to side, but going up beyond that, the body itself mounts up nice up here. So we changed the firewall, which is back here. So I'm assuming the firewall is just a little bit crooked at this point. Doesn't really make sense because we double checked everything a billion times, but that's what I'm leaning towards. Firewall is a little bit crooked, but I mean, it's not, you'll never notice it, right? Like, you'll never see it. It's just doesn't make sense to me. So if the firewall got shifted just a tiny bit when we were welding, now everything else is lining up and that firewall is just a little bit out side to side. So I can almost put the bolt in I can put the bolt in 1 bolt on both sides, but I can't get the second one, and they're leaning. Either way, top hat has to be fixed. Passenger side has to be fixed. That's what I'm assuming at this point. Like, I got the Dremel out, and I'm gonna do the pan on the passenger side here in a minute. I was just having a good sit down and thinking, because like, do I try and reposition it again, or do I just Dremel it out? But at this point, I've got it so close, it's like, I think these need to be Dremeled out. It's my guess, right? But I can't Dremel the top hat bolts. They're like, you've gotta do some maneuvering. So if I can get every other bolt but the top hat bolts all happy, then what I'll do is I'll separate the body. I'll mark everything really good, and I'll separate the body. That way I know what I have to do, and I can just do it without the body on top. That will make life a lot easier. But okay, so in a minute I'm going to just taking a break. But in a minute I'm going to, well, I was waiting on Dad. I sent him a text and I was like, hey, give me a shout and maybe just bounce an idea off you, because I just want to make sure I'm thinking the right thing. If 80% of the bolts fit, the original heater channel, like that's the first heater channel we put in, and it doesn't fit the greatest right now. I've only got one bolt in it. So it just seems funny to me that the first one we put in is off now. Easiest solution right now is just grab the Dremel, oblong the hole a little bit at one end, you know, for majority of the holes on this heater channel, and it'll bolt up no problem. The washer's big enough where it's going to cover it, no worries. So yeah, every other bolt works. So I don't know. He hasn't called yet, so I'm just going to start going for it. I think I got the right idea anyways, so. I don't have a knurl bit for my air tools, or else I'd use that. This should work. Wonder what that bit's actually meant for. Let's drill one out and see what it does. Because they've got dimples on both sides of them. And I need pretty much right there at that dimple drilled out. Not really the way I wanted that to go, but oh, that one's okay now. Maybe I'll mark them all and then take the body off. Fix this because that's gonna work. Just needs to be cleaned up nice, and it's hard to do with the heater channel there. All right, change of plans. I'm going to mark everything I need to mark on the passenger side heater channel area, but on the floor pan. That way the heater channel is just not in my way when I'm trying to oblong these holes. Common sense, right? And I'm gonna mark out the top hat just because I do need to do some clearance stuff on it. So mark out all this stuff, whatever's not fitting. There's not that many. There's not that many. But mark out all the stuff and then take it back off so I can continue to, you know, oblong these holes, get this so I know it'll fit, and then I can basically weld the pan on, weld that the driver's side in solid, finish all my welding on the pan, clean it all up, remove the suspension, bring it for paint. Then the body stays here and does this, you know, it's got to continue grinding, cleaning up all the patches, getting it ready for paint, right? I'm just gonna mark out this passenger side heater channel where it needs to be cut in those holes. There are dimples on both sides of the holes. So, I mean, as far as I know, those are like, you know, alignment helpers. So I can drill them out, but I'm just gonna mark them all out so that I'm not drilling towards the heater channel. That's not a great idea. So I will mark them out now. I'm also gonna mark out the top hat just to say this is kind of where it needs to be. Maybe I can make some adjustments while it's off, and then yeah, I'll mark it out. Then I gotta take the body back off, take the pan back out, oblong the holes. Yay! It's just like, how many times does this body have to come on and off, on and off? This realistically is one of the last times I have to test fit it. So now I'm just double checking, you know, I've got to make sure every bolt lines up so that when it does get painted, I'm not drilling and cutting and trying to force fit things. So this way here, it's going to tell me, okay, it will fit. This is what I got to do to make it fit. I'll take it back off, move it over, do that stuff, and then start stripping it for paint. Handy dandy tire markers. It's nice and white though. I gave up on my rolly thing, it's too much to move around. Beauty, beauty. That one just needs a little trim job. Ow, ow. This one, how did it fit? Let's have a look. A little trim on this. Ow. Just a little trim on this one will make it fit perfect. A little trim on that. Mint. Okay, top hat. Ugh. Top hat. Top hat time. But these are right in my way. It's looking like it's got to be this side, but it can't be the firewall that has to be trimmed. So, that says to me, this side. This side's got to come over, and I don't even want to get my head under there. Okay, so now that I've sat and dragged myself across the floor a bunch, I've found a couple issues that need to be fixed. I've marked them all out, and the top hat is kind of funny. It's just the heater channel has shifted just a hair. I got a visitor coming out. The heater channel has just shifted a hair, so I have to just make sure it's all cleaned up and cleared out. Obviously I didn't notice that, so just a little trimming, and then I think I've got 4 other bolts to trim. Not really a huge deal. I can probably separate the body now and bring the pan back over. You're making me giggle. I can probably separate the body now, bring the pan back over, do all the stuff that I've marked, fix where I know the top hat needs to be, and whatever's going on with the firewall, and then drive on. You opened the door. Go ahead, have fun. Alright, I'm going to take the bolts out of the car now, and no, it won't be loud.
What is it gonna...
I'll just undo all the bolts out of the heater channel,
What is it gonna...
and then I'm gonna lift the car off the pan. So I'm gonna separate this car into 2. Right now it's 1.
Yeah, but... What
Crazy
is it,
story, right?
but why... What is it gonna make? Like, sound of choice and noise.
I won't make a lot of noise. I just gotta undo some bolts, and then I can pick it up again, and then I'll have to pull the pan over here. Then I gotta make some noise. But for now, no noise. Okay? I'll let you know when there's gonna be noise. You do your thing.
That's the car.
Yep.
That's what you did.
Yep. Oh, Georgie.
Oh, daddy.
I gotta take this thing apart for like 700th time.
Daddy,
Yep.
and I'm kind of gonna put this a little bit closer to that because I can't on my bottom knees.
Okay, you do what you gotta do. Draw me a wicked picture, okay? As a dad to a little girl, it's kind of my dream to have her working in the shop with me. So I try to include her with whatever I can. If she wants to come out and watch while she draws pictures, I'll take the time to entertain her while I also get some stuff done. Sure, it slows down the process, but it's also memories and time
This one
spent.
right here. This is the one I needed.
And then I gotta go over here and take one of these out.
Do you have a beetle?
A Beetle! Yeah, this is a Beetle. This is my 1974 Volkswagen Super Beetle.
But I'm drawing a Super Beetle.
Are you gonna draw me a Super Beetle?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It's like this one.
And guess what? You have blue.
Yeah.
So you can draw me a blue Beetle.
I'm drawing a new blue.
Whoa.
Blue and
That I never used.
what's your mat?
Here, look at how comfy this is now.
Put it right here.
Big pants. Alright,
Ow.
honey.
Ow.
Oh, then don't jump on it.
I didn't.
We used to jump on carpet as kids, and that's rug burn. That's rug burn. Today's society, we don't really have a lot of carpet, so. You alright?
That really hurt it.
You're okay?
Want to see my knee?
Yeah, I'll check it out. Oh, it's a little red. Yeah. Okay, so no more jumping on the carpet like that because you'll hurt your knee. One thing that we do a lot of is dance parties. We crank up the tunes in the garage and just jam out. That's definitely a father-daughter thing for us. So for the memory's sake, I say screw the copyrights. YouTube can take its algorithm and go away.
I got
The music is loud enough.
No, it isn't.
Yes, sir.
No.
It's never loud enough. Alright, I gotta take this apart. That's as loud as I'm putting it right now, okay?
We built this whole foundation just to tear it down. We speak a different language, anything but true. I'm sick of being trapped in the designer of you. So tell me how you feel. No use in hiding. Don't be silent. Say what you want, say what you need. Don't you hold that time.
Not sure if anyone can relate, but my daughter touches everything, so gloves are needed. If she's touching something dirty, then rubs her hands all over her clothes, Dad gets in big trouble.
You did it by yourself, right? Mom always helps you with that. Here, did you get it? 1, 2, 3, 4,
Just to turn out
5. Yeah, high five. Okay. Okay. Just don't touch too many things. Alright, I gotta lift this up. So the back end is up a little bit. Right? Or is the front end up higher? What do you think?
Time to get this body off the pan. I have to get all those holes properly opened up. Even, and I'm having to basically fix it all, but I've got it so far off the pan.
You're talking to the camera?
Yeah, I got to explain to them what I'm doing.
Okay.
So the people at home can know what we're doing here.
Okay.
Alright, so we're already lifting the body off the pan, but we're so far off now I don't really want to keep putting it back down. And I might just continue to lift it and add a little bit of weight to the one side to even it out because it's lifting it uneven. But hey, did you poop?
No.
For a while that it was rough. Lately I've been doing better than the last 4 cold Decembers I recall.
Ah, it's not lifting
I see
good.
my family every month. I found a girl my parents love. She'll come and stay the night, and I think I might have it all. But I know the things he gives me, he can take away.
This is my favorite.
Just one. Oh, yeah, it is your favorite.
Please stay. I want you, I need you, oh God, don't.
Okay.
These beautiful things that I've got.
Please stay.
I want you, I need you,
I've stacked.
You have stacked.
So when I was lifting the car, it got a little bit off center and I was too far committed to it to put it back down because it was way out of alignment. So I just, not the greatest solution here, but added more weight to the body as we lift it. But I put a couple things on this side, counterweights, and then I put a piece of metal and a hammer here. So counterweights, but I balanced the body out so I can continue lifting it. I do have the stands here ready to go, so when I am at the right height, I can just pull the pan out, slide the stands in, but a little sketchy lift in it, that's all.
Daddy can't pass me my snack.
Whiskey. Yep, 1 sec.
Of course, just as I get rolling and I'm feeling all committed, Dad calls.
It was a little bit out of alignment.
Okay.
So I shifted it over and got it matching on all 4 far corners.
Okay.
Okay, so I was able to thread in the top bolts at the top of the pan, like near the hook, you know what I mean?
Oh, yes, okay.
So I was able to thread in that one, and the one that's sitting loose in the body, I was able to dangle it down beautifully, you know, 3/4 of the way through, because it's cut.
Yep.
But I was able to dangle it down there, no pressure on it, nothing. Okay, about to blow your mind. Heater channel we just installed.
Yep.
Bang on. Like,
all the holes?
Yep, I've got one hole that's slightly out, but I can still use it. I'm gonna trim it anyways. Heater channel we put in first, I've only got one bolt that'll go in.
And how far out are they?
Not brutal. You know how, like I told you a while back, the dimples on both sides of the holes are kind of like adjustments, you know, so if you needed to go forward or backwards, you had drilling spots.
Yeah.
Well, we have to go forward a dimple. So it's just outside the hole, or like just, you know what I mean? It's not too far out, but it's enough where you can't get the bolts in.
Okay, so they just need to be oblonged out.
Yeah, exactly. Like to the points where they've already suggested, because they've got dimples there for you to drill them.
Right.
So it's not like they're way out. That'll work. I've marked them all. But the top hat's the funny part, because you know why those bolts weren't lining up?
No.
I had to like take my hat off and smush my head in between the floor and the top hat to see what was going on.
Yeah, I kind of thought that.
But you know what's funny is we didn't look at the heater channel, like we didn't look at the body before we put it on the pan. You know what I'm saying? So the mounts for the heater channel, you know how it's got the lip at the front with the 2 holes in it?
Yeah.
For the firewall, right? Well, they're not lining up perfectly. So the heater channel is actually in our way on both sides.
But it's a case of oblonging that hole, right?
Yeah. Simple enough, just drill it out. Like it's the outer ones fit, the inner ones have, you know, a quarter covered.
Let me know, and like I said, I can stop by tomorrow after work. And
right now, in less than 24 hours, we're gonna be pan underneath, pan out, pan underneath, and then pan out.
Yeah, it sucks, but I remember taking mine on and off 100 fucking times.
Yeah, well, I think I'm on. Oh, we're over 15 now, I think, but I should have it set up tonight, and then I should be able to peel it back off so that I can finish welding the pan in and stuff and get all that done. The doors will be the hard part.
Yeah, well, like I say,
I could probably use a chair too, right?
how I did mine was I used the jack.
Okay.
I made a pool noodle out of. I put a pool noodle over top, and then I used the jack.
Well, I got pool noodle.
I put it over top of the door.
Because then you can angle it up and down.
Yeah, once it slides in, you're fine after that. It's just getting it to slide in.
So I'm back from dinner, and Dad did call just before dinner. So we had a good chat, and he did remind me that I should test fit both doors. We've already test fitted the passenger side, but we want to get both of them on there just to make sure before we have everything painted that it's all going to fit correctly. So I guess I'm going to oblong these holes, put the pan back underneath it, get it all situated, get it down comfy, bolt it in place, and then grab the doors from the sea can and try to put the doors on by myself, which I know is going to be tricky. The doors are pretty heavy and awkward. So, yeah, pool noodle, we'll figure something out. But, yeah, I was thinking that I could just oblong the holes and then send the pan to paint. Not quite. I have to oblong the holes, put it back underneath, bolt everything up the best I can, and then test fit the doors, because that's the biggest concern now. Just had dinner. Is the driver's side door gonna fit? Sausage.
anyways, yeah, that's the big concern now. Are the doors going to fit? So I just want to make sure both doors are going to fit on with everything bolted down. I'll put as many bolts as I can in it and tighten them all down. I should be able to get, you know, 98%. I'm missing a couple bolts, so I'll have to get them ordered or find them around here in spare parts or at Dad's place. But yeah, so I'm gonna oblong the holes. I'm going to use a step bit. It's over there, I can't reach it. A step bit. It's not like the perfect tool for this, but it's what I have, and I'm gonna make it work. So yeah, oblong the holes. So I've got them all marked out now, and I should be able to just clean all these up a little bit. If you can kind of see here, I've transferred it to the top side. So I only need a little bit out of this one, a little bit out of this one, a little bit out of this one. That's a whole circle. So I just put a center point. That's already been oblonged a little bit. Little bit, little bit, little bit. So I would say that heater channel was put in just a little bit, or the pan, whatever. But we'll fix that right now. I don't like this. Whatever. I don't like that I had to do that, but it's not the end of the world. I would have loved for it to fit perfect, but at the end of the day here, nothing from CIP, as I'm learning, fits perfect. So the fact that we've made a firewall, heater channels, pans, all work, but we've got one side out, like whoop-de-doo. Yeah, the washers are still a lot bigger than these holes. I just don't like that I had to oblong one side and not the other. But nobody will ever see it. I will. But again, not a big deal. Not a concern really. Just didn't want to have to do it in the first place. But whatever. It is what it is. Okay, I got right underneath the car to show you guys this. That's the new firewall we put in right here. New firewall, new heater channel. The new heater channel underlaps the firewall, and it's got two holes in it. Well, when we were putting the heater channels on, I think we only put an outer bolt in it, and we must have pulled out the rears because this inner now is being covered by the heater channel. So all I have to do is shave off this part of the heater channel. No big deal, but a pain. It should have been all shifted over this way just a hair, which would have helped a couple of these bolts, but it's like this on both sides. So I just have to give that a little trim and this a little trim. I got it marked a little bit there, I guess. Oh, that was before. That doesn't matter. But I got to trim this out just a little bit, trim that out just a little bit, and then the bolts will go in there fine, no problem. They'll go through the top hat and up into the firewall, no problem. Same with that side. So I'll just get that done now, and then I can put the pan back underneath it. We got plenty. Oh, destroyed that one. That's much, so like 2 days. Not bad. Okay, so you guys can see, got that cleaned up. It's not perfect, but it's enough to get the bolts in right now. Then I can get the proper tool and clean that all up nice. I did the same with the other side, so you can at least access both bolts perfectly. There shouldn't be any issue there, so they're ready to go. And so is the pan over there.
Okay, so now I guess it's time to put that pan back underneath and try to line everything back up and bolt it all in as best as I can, tighten it down so that I can actually test the doors. I shouldn't really have any issue bolting it down now. You should just be getting it into that right alignment to match up to all these holes. All right, here we go. Here we go again, round 2 in the same day. Body back up, pan back underneath. It's not balanced, right? So if any weight shifts on the passenger side, this whole thing's just gonna topple. But hopefully we don't have that happen. Seems pretty okay so far, so. So what I've learned here is there's 2 bolts. I'll do it this way. So what I've learned is there's 2 bolts on the rear. They're main bolts. They're right there. If you put them in, you can almost use them as little pegs to just move the rear end around on. So you use your pry bar and just kind of shove the rear end over just ever so gently. And then, boom, there is a hole. There's a hole right in the front here, this big hole. Right beneath that hole is the shock stabilizer mount. It's very sturdy, so all you do is put your pry bar in there and just ever so gently you can move the body left or right. So get it down, get it super close, right? Because like it's super close right now, but I can still shove it around because it's just barely on the pan. So with these lining up pretty good, I'm going to force everything just in the center of each hole, because you see this bolt is leaning on the front side. I'm going to bring it back a little bit to the center. Do that to the other side and make sure the front's all good. I'm going to bolt up the front, start putting all the bolts in it, I guess. At this point, yeah, I've got to test fit as many bolts as I can, try and get this car back sealed. I'm not going to put the seal, the pan seal on it right now. I'm just going to mount everything directly to metal and make sure to at least mount to itself. And then doors. The doors are outside in the sea can, and it's already dark out. It's like 9 o'clock on Sunday. So better find a flashlight, because the sea can's pretty dark too. But yeah, I'll go around and start throwing nuts and bolts in this thing. No. But yeah, I'm going to make sure this thing's all in alignment, then start throwing all the bolts in it, getting it all kind of tightened down to the pan, and yeah, just keep going. Water in the mustache. All right, let's put these bolts on. Watch the driver's side not fit now, but the passenger side is all lined up front to back. Just got to make sure the head bolt is in. I've got kind of one resting in, but I need to put the other one in to make sure it's gonna be good. But the whole heater channel went in nice. Those are the ones I had to oblong. So we got to remember, I left a bunch of pressure on the car. I still have the front up and the back up just a touch to keep it so I could kind of move it around. But I've been trying to put these bolts in. Now that I'm at the frame head, I'm noticing I do have to actually lower it down. So I'm gonna start putting in the other heater channel just to make sure it's all lined up before I drop it down. I'll just roll over and do it now. Well, I've got all the bolts in the car right now. I'm missing two. One at the top hat, which is a simple fix once it comes apart again. And one along the passenger side pan, which is a simple fix. Again, just a little bit more of a clearance. And it'll fit fine. So every bolt is in the car basically. But two that aren't really important. All the main bolts are in. There's two at the frame head, two up under the frunk. Then we do the heater channels on both sides, all the way to the back. There's two at the dead back, and then of the heater channels, and then one at like the shock tower right at the back wheel. They're all in, so that's awesome. We're finally feeling good about this. So the car is tightened back together. Right now it's one unit. I'm ready to fit the doors finally. It's 10 o'clock on Sunday. Yeah, I'm just gonna get some doors. I'll just go get the doors. Need a flashlight. It's dark out. Alright, doors are inside. What a journey that was. Got them both in here. Now I gotta figure out how I'm gonna lift them up and mount them same time by myself. But there's a way, so let's figure one out. I feel like that's good enough. 2x4 to spread out the weight. And a little bit of foam. I'll put the door on this. And then I can position it into the hinges. Slide it over, and then I can pitch it up if I need to, because that's how this works. Alright. Okay. I always need a really big Phillips for these. So the whole reason I'm not looking forward to this is because the mounts in behind here float to give you adjustment. But to get them actually aligned in the first place isn't very fun. So yeah, let's give it a whirl, I guess. Okay, it's now 11:30, 11:45, something like that. Passenger door is on, needs a little bit of adjustment, but since every bolt is in the car and tight, I disconnected it from the ceiling. I'm gonna pull it out now, spin it, first time ever. I don't know why it feels so good to do that, but disconnect it from the roof, yeah, and spin it so that I can access that driver's door better to mount it up. I know it's short-lived, because I've immediately got to take the pan back off to get ready for blasting, but it still feels good to have that disconnected and have everything lined up. It's like, I don't know, it just feels good. Feels good. Well deserved. This body's been in this position for 3 months probably, just hanging from the ceiling. We've left it connected the whole time, up and down. So now that it's off, it's like, feels like a car again. Alright, so I got it turned. Not quite sure how I'm gonna get the door on yet, but I got it turned. So I have a lot more access to this side now, which is awesome, finally. It's a tight shop, only 20 by 20. So I've turned it now. It's on a 45 degree, so I have basically full access to both sides. A little bit tight on the rear, but whatever. I gotta put this door on, and I don't really know how I'm gonna do it yet. Obviously the jack and the 2x4 and some foam. Gotta slide it in first, and then from there, the adjustments aren't a huge deal, but the sliding in part initially is tricky by yourself. The last thing I want to do is damage this door or the A-pillar. But I'm in a time crunch, and I need to test fit this entire car. I need to make sure everything fits and gets bolted up. The body works, the doors work, and everything is going to work before I can start to disassemble for paint.
hinges weren't straight. This is fun. Yeah, that don't feel like it's gonna work. It's actually up too high now. This is the first time I've ever shut this one since we've done it. It's not looking good. The top hinge is messing with me. Wasn't the hinge. The little safety door latch. Oh my gosh, it needs adjustment, but the doors are on it. It's no longer connected to the roof. The doors are on it. Wow. Wow. I'm gonna be up all night. That's awesome. So technically, like, doors need some tweaking, but technically this can be fully stripped down now. Oh, that's too bright right now. It can be fully stripped down now and head to, not head to anywhere. The pan can get finished welding, and then, because the pan's like tacked in plus some, so I need to finish it, pretty it up, seam seal it, then rip the suspension off same time, take it to blasting and painting, finish grinding the body, and yeah, feeling good. That's nice. I really don't know if I want to go to bed tonight. I might, honestly, I could tack that pan down to where I need it while it's still connected. I could take the doors back off. I could disconnect the whole body, lift it back off, separate the pan. Oh man. What time is it? 12:14. Maybe I shouldn't. I really want to, because I have such a deadline on this thing that it needs to go. And I told the sandblasting guy, like, I told them Monday at the latest. So like I got another probably full day on the pan just to get it ready. So I don't know. I gotta think.
All right, so I've decided to just chill for the night. It's like 12:45, 1 in the morning, and I can't keep making noise all night long, so I'll shut it down for a bit. And Monday is normally my day to edit for you guys, like edit all this footage, right? Work on the weekends, then I kind of edit Monday, Tuesday, and then I put out a video for you guys. Try and do that every week. But I also have work, you know, I gotta work. So yeah, we'll see. I really need this done, so I might just wake up early and start smashing away at this again, because the whole thing can be disassembled now. I just want to confirm with Dad that I don't have to adjust the doors perfectly. They're fitting, they need adjustment, but one of them has to be rethreaded and a little bit of messing around to get it to fit perfect, but I mean, they're both gonna fit fine. So a little bit of tweaking, maybe bend the hinges just a touch, and they're gonna fit good. So that's awesome. They're both shut right now. They both latch. They both line up good with the body when they're closed. When they open, they both drop a little bit. So loosen the hinges, bring them up, right? But they just need adjustment and playing with. There's a lot of room to move these and mess around with them, so they just need to be played with. I think at this point, honestly, take it all off, unbolt everything, separate the body and the pan. Then I'm gonna get the pan back over here, finish welding it, strip it, seam seal it, paint it. Boom.